Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Friday afternoon Agency Automators Hangout. Jordan Chu and I, Noah Lerner, are here to spend an hour with you going over some of our latest and greatest tools and some of the most amazing things that we're seeing online out in the world about automation. Jordan, what's up?
Yo, yo, yo. I'm excited today, Noah. I think this is our first episode where we don't actually have a guest. It's just us
Yeah,
talking and showing off a few automations that we've been working on.
I, as you can imagine, am especially excited about this episode because I've been taking a class run by Ben Collins. He's got like all these crazy Google Sheets and automation courses that he offers on his website,
Mhm.
and we'll share that link in the show notes. But one of the ones that I was especially stoked on, and I signed up for it a long time ago. I don't actually remember when, and I just got so busy I never actually executed it. He has this class called Automation with APIs, and as you can
Okay.
imagine, I was like, yes, right? And I think the same thing that you're going through is like, how do we go from low code automations
Mhm.
and translate out of using tools like Zapier and Integromat and
Mhm.
moving more towards just getting APIs to talk to each other
Yep.
using other tools, whether it's Python eventually, right? Like that's the next learning thing. But for
Mhm.
me, it's like, holy shit, I could get AppScript to work to get different APIs to talk to each other. The
Mhm.
first the first thing that I did was build out a NASA API thing, and
Mhm.
I was thinking, holy crap, that is so cool, and I'm trying to show it to you, and I can't find it. As per usual, right?
Of
Uh,
course. It's Murphy's Law.
yeah, I built this stupid little thing. There it is. Sweet. So this one, and this is part of the class, right? You hook up to the NASA image of the day, the astronomy image of the day API. You push that to a Google Sheet, and then you push it to Twitter.
Mhm.
The pushing to Twitter part, I don't think was part of the class. I think I did that on my own. Like I was like, oh, it'd be super sweet to like have an inspiring photo of the day that's coming out of NASA, and
Mhm.
it's free. The API was free, and I was like, oh, the app script's reasonably easy to learn.
Mhm.
Um, so that was like stage one,
Mhm.
was learning how to pull data from an API and getting it to write to a Google Sheet, right?
Mhm.
And then you and I, when we were at MozCon, we saw Greg Gifford talk about Q&As.
Yep.
I think we talked about it, like, oh, that's a great idea, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The idea kind of like just went away into the ether. And then you had built a pretty crazy tool, which is a Google Post Scheduler,
Yep.
which we'll get into in a couple minutes. And I was like, oh, why don't we do the same thing for Q&As? And I went down like the rabbit hole of all rabbit holes, and this is what I came up with. This is what we're
Mhm.
looking at right now, this version, this sheet. This is the config sheet, and it had a questions and answer sheet so you can edit your Q&As in Google my using the Google My Business API. And then part of the learning curve is like, okay, I built a cool tool. People in my agency can use it. So how do I share this? Have you ever had those challenges?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah, a lot of the tools that, I build internally. It's like, oh yeah, like this is great. I'm using it here. How do I share this, like with you or with the rest of the audience here on Agency Automators? So yeah,
Oh
there
yeah.
there is a bit of a gap.
So this tool, right? I was like, man, it looks so good. I did some typography things. It's not just Arial font. I put an image in, a hyperlink. Woo! And then I was like, how do I share it? I couldn't figure out how to share it. And
Mhm.
I spent hours and hours and hours looking through forums, reading all kinds of posts. Turns out the way to do it is to build something as an add-on.
Okay.
And the script that runs this tool the way that I built it, it depends on a specific page structure. And it depends on specific cells having specific stuff in them. And I was like, fizzle. So it turned out that we couldn't just release like an add-on that does stuff.
Hmm.
We had to actually release an add-on that builds itself. And so this is, can I show how it works?
Yeah, go for it.
Are you okay with this?
Yeah,
We,
yeah. Let's
so
dive
you and
in.
I
I'm
haven't even
excited.
done this live together on a screen share. Like I built this thing and then you're like, hey, that's cool. Okay, so for everybody in the audience, this is how to use the tool. You first of all, you have to install the add-on. So let's see, it's super easy. You the way that you do it is you, let's see, I should switch users, right? I'll go into this one. I don't think the add-on is installed here, so let's go File, New, Spreadsheet. I don't think that the add-on is installed. I just want to confirm. This is one of the coolest things ever. Here, okay. So let me go manage add-ons and I'll remove this. Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. I want to uninstall it. Oh, I can't uninstall it. Oh, this is interesting. So I installed this from the Chrome Web Store, but you
Hmm.
can also get it from what's called the G Suite Marketplace. And for those of us who don't have it installed, this is the easiest search term ever. You go Q&A in the G Suite Marketplace, and our thing will show up first. So you click on it. If you don't have it installed already, you'll click install and it should install super easily. You can also install it from the Chrome Web Store and we'll share the link in the show notes to that. Historically, I've always installed it from the Chrome Web Store. I haven't installed it from the G Suite Marketplace. So we'll share links to both. So you install the tool, and then once you do that, what we've noticed is that on the initial install, you won't see the full menu. You'll only see the word help. I don't know why that is. I think it's a weird glitch with how add-ons work. So you'll go back to add-ons again, hover over it. When the add-ons are ready to load, you'll see the drop down appear, and it usually takes a second. Well, I guess you have to click it. Then from there, you go run initial setup,
Hmm.
and it builds the tool on the fly, which I think is so cool because I'm like the biggest dork ever. Um, this is because it takes Google a little while to verify the app. So you just hit the advanced button,
Hmm.
scroll down, go to AgencyAutomators. These are the permissions. We just need to see your spreadsheets. We're going to connect to an external service, and we're going to be able to, we meaning you, the user, not AgencyAutomators, are authorizing this Google Sheet that the user owns to go look at their specific Google My Business locations. And then this is how the initial install works. It's not going to just run because we just authorized it to work. We have to go run initial install, and it builds the tool out on the fly, which I think is super cool.
Hmm.
We're going
Which
to switch.
got me so excited. Like the first time I ran it, you should have seen the huge smile on my face.
Oh, really?
Oh, I was cackling, as you would
We're
like to say.
woo, yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. It took me like 6 hours to get to that happy moment when like things weren't breaking on the initial install, right? It's like tons of bug. So then I'm switching users so that we'll actually go to a sheet that has that actually has GMB stuff associated with it.
Hmm.
Run initial setup, and then when it's done, there's a couple other steps which are really easy. You go into the config. I think we should move these to the Q&A page, by the way. I think they should live in the first row. I think it'll be easier from a UX perspective. Um, you pick your account, you go back up to the add-ons, agency automators, get locations.
So this will pull all the locations that you have associated with the Google account that you're logged in with in G Sheets, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, this next piece is important. You have to use the email address that you actually want to log into GMB with, or Google My Business with. If you're using some random email just to check it out and you don't have Google My Business accounts associated with that email address, the tool's going to look like it's broken. And I know that's a dumb disclaimer, but just for the record, you have to do that. So you find one of your locations, you go into the Q&A page, and you go add-ons, agency automators, get questions. And what will happen is that it'll pull in all the questions and answers that people have asked and answered about a specific business location. This is There's some caveats, right? If you don't create a question, you as the business owner cannot delete the question, nor can you edit the question. Does that make sense? You
Yep.
change the answer, and it'll add an answer that's coming from you in addition to the answer that's already in place. So this is really great if someone is spamming your business. So if they're saying like, do you rent, I don't know, crystal meth cooking devices? Like that,
I'm not going to ask how your mind went there first, but all right, I'll roll with it.
that felt spammy. I don't know.
Touche,
So
touche.
don't ask about my side hustle. You then go in here and you can edit the answers, right? And there's some choices for how to do things. This like solid line or blank, when the tool runs, it won't do anything to this row. You can also submit a new question and answer.
Mhm.
You can update one, like if there's bad spelling or bad sentence structure or whatever, or you can delete an entire question and answer. Again, you can only delete the ones that you build. This is why the tool is cool, because you can preload in all the questions and answers that you get asked all the time in that business location. What are your store hours? Tell us about your parking. Do you offer layaway? Um, what is the turnaround time on a bicycle tune-up, right? So for this one, um, do you have parking? We have a huge amount of off-street parking available. Available at this location. And then for this row, notice I'm only selecting this row. It's a brand new question Q&A. I kind of messed up. I should put a question, right? And go new Q&A. I'm not doing anything with these rows. I don't want to touch them, right? So I go back up to the add-on, Agency Automators, publish, and then you'll see a little status message here. It'll say uploaded new Q&A. If I was to go into a separate tab and then search for that business, recyclist, bicycle company, this is that business. We see that they have 4 questions and answers. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you have parking? This is the one that I just built, right? The thing that's interesting about this is notice there's 2 API calls per row. There's one where we're creating that question, and then it responds to us with the question ID, and then we answer that question ID. So that's why we're only seeing one thing in the first pass. We'll just hit refresh, see if it updated. Be awesome if the tool worked perfect. There we go. Boom.
Nice.
We have a huge amount of off-street parking available at this location. And that's what the tool can do. What do you think?
I freaking love it.
Yeah,
I mean, Noah, I work with a fair amount of multi-location brands, so this
yeah,
is super exciting to be able to roll out just standardized Q and A's based on frequently asked questions across all of the locations,
yeah.
and yeah, I love it. I love it. You know me, right? Like I get so excited being able to automate and just scale out things like these across multiple clients or locations.
Yesterday was really cool because I got to attend a neat conference called Local U,
Mm-hmm.
or Local University in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how I roll. I was just like all day long talking about it. Um, and I bumped into Joel Headley the night before. He's with Patient Pop.
Mm.
And I told him about the tool, and he said, "Hey, send me a link, whatever." And he gave us a shout out
Oh
during his
wow.
talk, which I thought was pretty cool. I was all stoked. And he yeah, it was really neat. Like he talked a lot about automation. Like he had everybody basically build a small app script that ran
Hmm.
through a sitemap and then printed out the status codes for all the pages.
That's really cool.
We didn't do the whole code because, as you can imagine, there's like more than 6 lines of codes and comments and whatever.
Right.
And like the people in the room were a lot of like local SEOs who probably hadn't done AppScript before.
Hmm.
So it was pretty interesting to kind of watch them work through it. But he was really kind. He was nice. He gave us a shout out, and I thought that was pretty sweet.
Sweet. It's very nice of him.
Um, let's see. Do you want to talk us through the Google Post Scheduler?
You know
Because
what? You can do that, Noah. It's
this
I
is
feel
come
like
on,
you
man.
do no you do you do a great job at presenting this. I would totally botch it.
So basically, what I'm hearing is you just want me to break the tool and take all the credit.
Uh,
So, so this tool um, has a lot more going on.
mhm.
There's a lot more columns. There's a lot more stuff. We have not created this as an add-on, but I think, assuming Jordan, are you open to us doing that?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do that.
Because this is going to take more work. We're just to build out the interface and to
Hmm.
build out all the formulas and all that stuff. It's just going to take more work. But
For sure.
so the way that this tool works really similarly, um, you put in your what are we doing? You put in your account ID, right?
Yeah.
So you go. The first thing you do is you go up here, get accounts. I have to auth it, give it permission. Same kind of permission levels. We're doing drive stuff. We're connecting to. I think this is to be able to work with AppScript. I think that's what that one does. And
Yeah.
then we're. Is that right?
Yeah. So what happens is we connect to Google Cloud and then use Google Cloud to connect to GNB.
Oh, got it. Okay. So then we got an account ID and we change it to that. And then from here, we do get locations. And what are we dealing with? Are we dealing with the account sharing issue?
I think it is that issue. So what typically happens, and this even happens to me when I create a new copy from a Google Sheet
Yeah.
that I own as well. So what seems to happen is that when you copy the sheet,
Yeah.
you need to almost like resubmit the authorization for that sheet to connect to Google Cloud and Google My Business. So I typically see it take like maybe like 1 to 3 hours, depending on how quickly um, on how quickly Google kind of like refreshes your access to the.
Oh, okay. So this is exactly why I built my tool as an add-on because I didn't want to deal with any of this stuff for the end user. I just felt like it's frustrating. Bottom line, it's frustrating.
Mhm. Oh, for
So,
sure.
um, so for everybody who's building tools that they want to share with people, learn how to build it as an add-on. And that process is not super hard. Um, I think we should develop a blog entry around that because there was a lot of like troubleshooting. I probably spent 5 to 6 hours just like reading blog entries about sharing issues and
Wow.
setting up the project and doing all that bullshit
Hmm.
that could have been a lot easier.
Hmm.
I think this is the tool, this is the original, but I only have comment only. So why don't I just Slack you this and maybe you could share it with everybody?
That sounds good. Just open up Slack here.
Okay. Um, and then while you're getting that open, should I do our gather up tool?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'll do that. Just making sure we're not running long at all. Okay, sweet. So, um, GatherUp is one of our favorite tools. We both use it. We both resell it to our clients. Um,
And we actually had Aaron on our Hangouts a few weeks ago.
I saw him at Local U yesterday, and he walked right up to me, hugest smile of all time, and he's like, "How you doing, young man?" He always calls me young man. I love it. I don't know. I don't actually think he's any older than I am. I, I think I just look like a baby. It's like, anyway. So the way that this tool works, same kind of idea. You put in your client ID, which you can grab from inside your. You can grab it from inside your GatherUp tool. It's a little bit confusing. Like you go to the business level, you then go into your account owner details. You grab the client ID from here, paste it into the tool. You then grab your API key. And for everybody who's watching this now, which is like us, you can see my API key. Everybody else, not a chance in hell. And so, because I will blur this out, right?
Hmm.
So then you enter your client ID API key, and this tool I think is really great. Um, I'm really proud of us for developing it. You go
Hmm.
into the Gather Uploader dropdown, same kind of idea. You're going to use this stuff to gather locations, which will be just the one. And then you'll go gather uploader, and we'll switch. You'll notice here, let me delete this. I'm going to delete so that everybody can see this. Okay. And usually this was hiding, right? This is hidden.
Yes, that should be hidden.
Yeah. So we go gather locations, and it should build the location with the ID which is coming out of GatherUp with the location name.
Yeah.
And then if we switch over to that tab, we'll change the styling so that this is easier to read. But you can see the business name, the location ID, and you put the person's name that you want to. You can copy paste this right out of the point of sale system that the location is like emailing you data from. And whoopsie daisy, Noah at bikeshopseo.com. And then you go gather uploader. And I just want everybody to see that if we go into business dashboard, currently there are, Kyle is the top one. And we'll go over to AgencyAutomators, gather up. Oops, I knew I was on the wrong sheet. You go gather uploader, upload customers. We should see a status message here, feedback letting us know that that specific row was pushed via the API. We'll go via over to our customer dashboard in GatherUp. Boom! There it is.
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
sick is that?
Amazing. And one thing that I love is, no, I don't know about you, but a lot of the companies that I work with, um, they may not necessarily be familiar with GatherUp. They may
Sure.
find it a little confusing to, upload customers via CSV every week or every month, whatever it is. So, um, just providing them with a nice Google sheet where they can just paste everything in because, everyone knows Google Sheets, everyone knows Excel. It's pretty straightforward. I find it's just a lot easier.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I think this should be an add-on too.
yeah,
This
I agree
interface
as
is
well.
super easy. I mean, it's this one's easy. See, the problem is that Jordan has like good design chops, and he starts doing stuff like this. He does this really cute little border, and then the problem is that when you're like building an add-on, like you have to define every single style in a separate app script statement.
Oh
You
no.
can you can chain them together, right? You can
Mhm.
select the range, and then you can apply a style to that range, and then chain another style declaration, another. It's a total pain in the ass. So I love your font selection, but hell no, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just kidding.
So what I'm hearing is I make your life miserable then.
No, 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 no. It's just depending on how bare bones we are, it just takes more work. Um, you also have to do things like defining column widths,
Hmm.
row heights to make the tool easy peasy. Like in a questions and answer tool, like it makes a lot of sense for these rows to be really tall so that you can actually read a paragraph if there's a paragraph for a question.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So like I had to define the row height, had to define the background color, had to define the font size, had to define, all this stuff. But AppScript is actually reasonably, it's pretty easy to learn. Like I was surprised. A lot of it, one thing that I had issues with as I was looping, at one point you have to loop through all the rows of stuff and you have
Hmm.
to apply the status message.
Hmm.
The status message at first would apply to the first line. Let's say there's two rows of stuff. It would apply the status message to the first line and then apply the line 10 rows later. My variable, which was like I did what's called a for in loop. So, or I think I don't know if that's called a loop. Maybe it's just called a for in, where
Hmm.
you would say like for for j in array, right? So I
Hmm.
use j as my array as my variable name, right?
Hmm.
Let's do the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. 10, right?
Hmm.
So my status message was being pushed 10 rows down for where it should be.
Mm.
Took me a while to figure out that, and I said something like you had to add J plus 1 or J plus 2,
Hmm.
and what it was doing was it was interpreting J as a string.
Oh, interesting.
So it was turning
Huh.
J into 10 and then adding 2 to it to tell the status message how many rows to go down. And I was like, ah. So I had to parse it turn it into a number from a string and blah blah blah. So there were all these like interesting things, and I like spent 30 minutes doing that. And it was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
but there's this one, anytime something like that's happened, just for people developing this stuff the next time, it's like you want to log every single statement as you're building the script to run so that you can see what's getting returned for every single statement. And then when something like that happens, you want to check your variable to know what the type it is.
Hmm.
So in JavaScript, there's a function called type of.
Hmm.
You want to know, is it a string? Is it an array? Is it null? Is it a Boolean? And it returned a string, and I expected it to be an integer, right? I expected it to give me an index number, and I was like, oh, it's a string. And that was really easy once I figured that out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do you have the post tool set up on your side?
I do. I do.
Cool. I'll stop
So
sharing. Do you want to share?
yeah, sure. Let me share right now. Can everyone see it?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. And in our case, you are everyone.
Woohoo!
All right. So as Noah was mentioning earlier, we've created a Google Post scheduler that essentially allows you to queue up Google Posts in bulk, using Google Sheets, which is absolutely amazing because you have a whole ton of control over it. You're not relying on any third-party apps, having to pay any extra money for it. So if we go into this config file right here, we have an ID which I'll actually delete in our case. So we have this handy drop down menu here, and we go to get accounts. And what it'll do is it'll actually ping GMB's API to gather your account ID that's associated with the email that you're logged in with in Google Sheets. So once that's pulled, you'll see this drop down, and you click this nice drop down here. Now, next thing you do is you want to gather all the locations that are set up, or I should say you have access to through your GMB account. So once you get locations, the script will run. It'll ping, Google Cloud, and Google Cloud will ping GMB's API, and then it will pull all of the locations that you have into this Google Sheet. So next step is, if we, you know what? we'll go down here and we hit this drop down menu, you'll actually see all of the GMB locations that I have with my own account. So if we type in Cogneta, we will see my
Ooh,
location.
let's put one live. I totally want to see something live.
Yeah, sure. We'll do this live. Okay, cool.
To the
So
kid in the candy store. Sorry.
so no, not at all, not at all. So next thing we do is we choose the post type. So
Yeah.
we have call to action, we have an event, we have an offer. So in our case, we're going to go CTA. And now this is where things get interesting. So based on the post type that you select, if you kind of scroll to the right here, you'll see that there are certain cells that are grayed out. Which is based on the post type. So with these grayed out cells, you don't need to fill them out. You only need to worry about the ones that are in white. So in our case, we have summary right here, and we're going to say building an amazing Google Post scheduler with Noah from Agency Automators. And then we have media type here, and Google My Business, your posts, you can upload a photo, you can upload a video. So in our case, we're going to do a photo. And now we have the media URL here. And this is literally exactly what you would think. It's a URL to, in our case, the photo. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to Agency Automators.
Keep in mind, our logo is an SVG. I don't know that it'll accept SVGs.
Let's go maybe products. Do we have a screenshot somewhere? No, we don't. Okay.
Ooh, go to past shows. You can grab a
Oh
headshot.
yeah. Okay, sweet. So let me go back here. We'll go to past shows. Let's choose Rory. So we're gonna
He rocks.
copy image address. We're gonna paste it in here, and in fact, you know what? We'll update this. Chatting about automation with Rory and Noah. All right. We have our CTA type where we can choose what the call to action will be with the post. So in our case, let's choose learn more. And now we have the CTA URL here, which is where people are going to go once they actually click on your Google post. So I'll actually choose Rory's URL. I'll pop that in here. And then we're all done. Now we're all done. So, actually I lied. We need to choose a publication date. So what we'll do is we will choose today, which is September 20th. And what we'll now do is go up to the Google Post Scheduler dropdown and hit Upload Posts. So what'll happen is you can kind of see a sneak peek up here that I have all these Google Posts queued up with various dates. So the script will actually run and look at all of these cells, all of the rows that are filled out to check whether today's date is the same as the publication date. And if it is, it'll upload it. So you can see here that in the status column, we have uploaded now, meaning that the post itself has been published. So what we'll do is we'll go to business.google to check it out. Find Cogneta, go up here, look at it. Oh, and we can actually see your latest posts. Yeah, so I'll go the traditional way to posts, and we can see here this was just posted now. We can see that the image is the same, the summary is the same, and if we hit learn more, it opens up and goes to Rory's chat on Agency Automators website. Now, what is awesome is that using AppScript, you can actually set it up so that a function will run based on a cron job that you set up. So there's a bit of a technical side to this here when you want to queue up a lot of posts. So essentially what you do is you hit Tools, you go to the script editor, and then I believe you go to, I think it's Edit. Yeah, you go to Edit and you go to Current Projects Triggers. And then this will open up all of your AppScript stuff. And you can see here that I've actually already set an AppScript up, trigger up for this AppScript. But if you don't, you won't see anything here. And all you have to do is go Add Trigger. You choose which function you want to run, and in our case, it's the upload posts. And then what you do is you select for the event type. Actually,
From
is that it?
spreadsheet, do the from
Oh,
spreadsheet
sorry, from
time-based trigger.
spreadsheet. There you go. Time based. It'll have a drop down. You can choose every day, every hour. In our case, you want to do a day timer, and then select when the script will run. And then once you hit save, it'll save the trigger, and it'll run. In our case, every day at midnight to 1 a.m. So that all you have to do now is just sit back and relax, and you'll have all the Google posts that you queued up be published on whatever date you have in the published column. Yeah, so that's the Google Post Scheduler that we created.
Okay, so you ready to go in the weeds a little bit into the value of Google Posts?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I heard some very interesting things yesterday about Google Posts. Number one, I'm going to go back in time to our discussions with Ben Fisher from Steady Demand.
Mhm.
Do you remember how he told us that Google Posts helps educate the algorithm and it helps to define relevancy for specific brands and locations based on what you're posting about?
Yep.
So that's on one hand. And then on the other hand, in the middle of a Q&A session,
Mhm.
excuse the pun, uh, people were discussing the value of all these. And Joanne Hawkins, I think, said that posts, Q&As, and there were two other things in the list, did not impact rankings at all.
Hmm. Okay.
And I was like, oh, really? So it sounds like something we're going to want to test to find out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and so that was pretty interesting. So I don't know if it impacts the algorithm. Here's something else that I heard that was really smart. Dan Leipson said from Local SEO Guide, he said, you know, posts are incredibly inexpensive for us to produce. They're super cheap. We can build them out easily.
Hmm.
Um, we don't see huge engagement rates, but if you work in a vertical where every conversion is really expensive, and to him really expensive was, I think they had stuff that one of their clients was selling whatever $100,000 conversions.
Hmm.
Um, that one conversion with that post tool for the year made the entire Google Post program paid.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll do it. That was pretty sweet.
Hmm. And one thing to bring up too is that I know there's been a lot of discussion on what exactly post topics should be about.
Mm,
And if I recall correctly, when Greg Gifford was doing his chat at MozCon, he talked a lot about Google Posts in general and how they really need to be transactionally focused
mhm,
rather than like educationally focused. So like instead of promoting blog posts, actually run promos, talk about testimonials from clients and all that. So I found that quite interesting, um, like quite an interesting point that he made.
yeah. And my brain was ready to explode yesterday. When we talk and I seem to go off into the clouds. I had one of those moments yesterday. Aaron and Mike Blumenthal from GatherUp were talking about pulling sentiment out of out of reviews in order to get insights that help drive better customer service inside a brick and mortar business.
Mm-hmm.
And so specifically it was things like, let's say you have a 4.5 star review, but there's negative language in that review.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely want to fix those problems because it's stopping you from being a 5 star review.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They also talked about the importance of not filtering out reviews at all and just being full on open transparency is now best practice, period.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran a study with thousands and thousands and thousands of locations after Google stopped review gating.
Mm-hmm.
the before and after, and they
Hmm.
found that before the average star rating was 4.66.
Okay.
After that number dropped to 4.59.
Which, like, it is a change, but it's not that big of a change,
It's
which
tiny.
is interesting. Yeah, yeah, it's quite small. I was expecting it to be like a full star or maybe more.
And Mike also said something that I thought was really cool, which was that consumers prefer businesses that have an average star rating. The highest preference range was 4.0 to 4.5. And for everybody that's
Really
wondering, you might be able to see something moving behind me, and I apologize, but my dog is a weird napper. Sorry, I saw his feet moving down here, and I was like, "What the heck is that?" But Mike was saying that people preferred reviews to be in that 4.0 to 4.5 range the most,
Mhm.
and that the big band was between 3.5 and 4.5, and that
Interesting.
above, zero trust.
Hmm.
Their first question in focus groups was, how much did people have to pay to get those 5-star reviews?
Interesting.
So if you're filtering, don't do it. Um, so anyway, back to them. So this is where my mind went. Sorry about that. Is that okay that I'm tangent? I'm going
Yeah. Oh,
tangent.
yeah.
Uh, so he was saying he was talking about all this review sentiment, and of course my brain starts drifting towards the GMB API, and I start
Hmm.
thinking about, oh man, it'd be really sick is if we pulled in the full corpus of a business's reviews,
Hmm.
and then we pull out all the review sentiment off of all their GMB powered reviews or whatever their Google reviews,
Hmm.
and then get sentiment off of that. And the thing that I have a hard time with all this review sentiment analysis stuff that I'm seeing online is that most of the time they want you to pull out all kinds of stop words.
Right.
A, the, in, prepositions. Um, and the thing that I think is really weird about that is you lose context a little bit
Hmm.
because like in their charts they were talking about tacos, right? A taco stand, and the thing that was associated with a positive review was the noun or the entity tacos.
Hmm.
And it's that to me I was like, well, how do you how valuable is that versus um, love the juicy chicken tacos? Because I feel like if you're building ad copy, the juicy chicken part is pretty important.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I like for myself now that you bring it up,
Yeah,
what I would do, and I think we talked about this before with the sentiment analysis tool that you kind of working on in the
yeah,
back burner,
yep,
is running n-grams on it, right?
yep,
Bi, tri, and quad n-grams
yep.
to figure that out, to kind of filter out um, those I guess
Woo.
overpowering words.
Hold on a second. I got to make sure I'm in the right account. So embarrassing. I'm like, oh, it doesn't work. Nothing works. Sentiment. Sentiment. Uh, Sentiment. And I'm going to be so embarrassed if the report's just busted. Oh, yeah. This was funny. The Trump. I hope this isn't broken. I'd be so bummed if it's broken. I thought it was hilarious. So, like, if you, there was like a really fun API that had all of Trump's speeches, right?
Mhm.
And you could go through all of his speeches to pull out chunks of things. And then I built this tool so you could then go and show n-grams of different lengths.
Huh, okay.
Great again. So much, right? So if we get rid of all the 2-word ones and we just go for the 3-word ones, I bet build the wall is going to be the most important. So look at this. We have to, people that are going to, he says going to a lot.
Hmm.
Like he's selling you a vision of what's going to happen in the future versus what he's doing now. And we're
Right.
not going down the political rabbit hole. I'm just saying it's interesting to look at the man's, same thing here. Going to be a is going to be to
Hmm.
rebuild our like so there's value in having some of these different prepositions to get sentiment in it, to
Hmm.
understand the sentiment more. And then I also had this other tool, um, where I actually did it more for one of our bike shops. And so for that review tool that I sell called Listen 360 Reviews,
Hmm.
like I thought, oh, this is cool. Why don't I pull out the full corpus of their reviews? And the thing that's cool about that is I'll be able to be able to present to our clients all of their reviews, and not only that, but I'll be able to show the sentiment on it as well. And like for example, I can find these different ones. I can find the category.
Hmm.
Are they promoters? Are they passive?
Hmm.
What the rating is. I can only show the 9 stars. I can show a date range.
Do you mind showing us via screen share?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I've been showing you this whole time. Oh my God, I'm so dumb. I'm so embarrassed. Jordan, you gotta like chat at me and tell me stuff like instantly. I feel like such a tool. I thought
No,
you
no, no,
guys
no,
could
no,
all see
not.
this. Dang it. So hold on. Let me go back to the last page just so you could see the review sentiment. Okay. So I can filter, these are all the reviews, right?
Hmm.
For this one location. I can filter by the review. So I
Hmm.
can only look at one. I can filter by the category if they're promoters or passive.
Hmm.
I can filter by the rating star
Hmm.
and the date range. And then this is where the sentiment analysis gets to be pretty fun. Like you can count by the numbers of times that it occurred. And it will give you, I think, a really interesting insight into the words that are meaningful: customer service, friendly, and the bike lane. I can also find same kind of thing where I can get granular about the engram length.
Hmm.
And I haven't been able to make this scientific yet, but um, I think it's interesting to just kind of keep playing with this to get insights. Uh,
Hmm.
you couldn't see the Trump thing. The Trump thing's actually pretty funny. On my bike, customer service, great customer service, friendly staff, helpful staff. I think for a client that is not filtering their reviews at all, what I think is really interesting is to go into the NPS category and to go to the people who are hating on your business and then find the terms that are ranking the most for the people who are hating on you and
Hmm.
then fix those issues.
Hmm.
And then go the opposite way of go to the promoters and then find the terms that are happening the most and include those in your ad copy and in your meta description language, because odds are they're probably looking at your reviews online. And if they go to your reviews first and your marketing language includes the language that they've already read in the reviews,
Hmm.
they're going to say, like, they're going to be stoked to do business with you, right? It's like the promise matches the performance. So
Right.
if you're only promising what people like, I think that's kind of interesting as a tactic or strategy.
For sure.
Um, let's see. So what else do we want to talk about? We wanted to talk about Ben Collins. We
Hmm.
wanted to show off a couple of our tools. Um, for everybody who wants to learn how to do OAuth and they want to figure out how to provide open auth into applications, I think that we've talked about Integromat a bunch in the past, but I think this tool is the bomb. I think it's so cool. Whoa. I assume I know how to tap. Integromat.com.
And for those who don't know, it's similar to Zapier, correct?
Yeah, exactly. I would describe it as a pretty strong and growing in importance competitor to Zapier.
Hmm.
They have. the killer app or the killer thing that they can do, in my humble opinion, is twofold. Number one, they have built-in error handling, whereas Zapier has error notification.
Mhm.
So in Integromat, if something breaks, you can make it do stuff versus just breaking and you're done.
Oh, interesting. So it's like that if error catch statement.
Yeah, it's like a try catch, right?
Right. Sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, we're good. And then, so what I think is super neat is that when I was trying to figure out how to build the Q&A tool, my initial build for that was thinking about just how to do it for my own agency. And
Mhm.
my thought process there was to build a Google Sheet and then have a drop down in the Google Sheet in one of the cells so that if someone chose publish, there would be a query statement on another sheet
Mhm.
that would grab all posts where that column equals publish, and
Mhm.
then it would create a new row.
Okay. Yep.
And then this tool would be looking for new rows. And whenever there's a new row, it would make the open auth request to GMB and post that question and answer. So anyway, Integromat has the ability to allow you to make open auth requests. And it's super easy to do with their tool, and there's not a lot of finagling. When you and I were trying to figure out the Basecamp API, it was not super easy. Did we do it in Zapier or in Integromat?
We did it via IntegraMat.
Yeah, because it was actually pretty simple once we figured out. Well, all
once
relative.
once you figured it out, I was still at a loss, and I would never have caught that. So, for
Ugh,
the record, thank you very much.
anytime. Glad to be of help. So this is pretty neat. Like you can do an open auth in. You can then grab the data and you can push the data. And so I had envisioned new row and spreadsheet triggering the open auth where we submit a question and then we submit an answer.
Mhm.
Downside, can you share this?
Go for it.
No, it's not
No.
shareable. So
Oh,
again,
but
we
yeah,
got
that
to do the
that makes
stupid
sense.
add-on.
Yeah,
What's
because
that?
you're no, that totally makes sense, right? Because it's through your own OAuth account rather than
Yeah,
whomever's using
and it's looking for a specific spreadsheet versus an add-on that you can incorporate into any spreadsheet.
it. Mhm. Mhm.
So, um, what are you seeing out in the universe that you're loving?
What am I doing these days? I'm playing around with some machine learning stuff.
Yeah.
I know you and I talked about that offline. Not yet ready for us to talk about it publicly yet because it's still very broken and very much in development. Um,
Do I know about? Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. Do I know about this?
yes, you do.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
Um, yeah. Nothing quite new and exciting that's ready to share as of yet. How about yourself?
Um, I want to share this resource, Rapid API. I'm
Mhm.
sure that our audience knows all about it, and we're like 17 steps behind the eight ball. But having said that, um, this tool is so cool. You can tie into any number of different APIs, and you can just sort of you can look into sentiment analysis, for example, and this was one of the I don't remember if I used the I think I used this one.
Mhm.
I can't tell if I'm logged in. Hold on a second. If I log in, um, when I log in and we look at my apps, what are my apps? Dashboards, default. I'm trying to see what API I'm using. I forget the exact name, but you can use the oh yeah. So it's the text mining and natural language processing API.
Mhm.
Let's plug this in so you can see how it works. Because the thing that's cool about it is that you can. I'm sorry that there's all these things on top of where I'm trying to do things. So API Marketplace. And then I'm going to search for for it. There it is. Thank goodness. Okay. So you open up the API that you want to connect with. It then shows you how to connect to it. It shows you how to create your post. It shows you the headers. It shows you the form, the actual post body. Excuse me, is it a post or a get? Yeah, so this one was a post.
Mhm.
And then it shows you what the response body looks like. And then it shows you how to play with it.
Hmm.
And you're going to love this, I think. Where is it? I believe that I used this integrity. Hold on a second.
This was for, I think, the sentiment thing when
Yeah,
we
I
were
know. I'm
talking
just
about it,
looking
right?
for. I don't think. I don't think that I did it. I might have did it manually, but the thing that was cool about this was it taught me how to build out the API call. I
Hmm.
then pulled it into either Zapier or I pulled it into Integromat. I forget where I did it, and I humbly apologize to everybody. And I basically had data that was local. It parsed through all the stuff and it built all the n-grams for me.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And what's cool, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is it's almost like a build your own request,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So on that left-hand side here, you just fill in all the info and then it'll pre-populate that code script over there.
Correct. And then you have to match the structure in your web app and
Right.
check out the pricing. It's wicked inexpensive. That's
Oh,
my
that's great.
language right there. And
That's really
so,
good.
I think Integromat plus an API like this, and if Hamlet Batista was watching our hangout right now, he'd probably throw his hat at the monitor because he'd say, "You don't need no stinking API, just Python." Because I think in my sentiment analysis thing, he probably did say that. He probably did. That he's like, where's his comment? His comment was, "You don't need that. You don't need no stinking tools. You just need Python." Anyway, so it goes this API,
Mhm.
Integromat to make the request, push the response into something. I think I pushed the response into Google Sheet, if I'm not mistaken, and then I queried the Google Sheet to do the sentiment analysis. What do you think?
I like it. I like it a
So,
lot.
do you think it's? I need to know if I should use filters in the reporting to get rid of words like in the is, or if there's real value, because I keep seeing
Hmm.
the other sentiment analysis tools like GatherUp is just they would just want to see bike lane.
Hmm.
And on this, it would be bike. This would still be customer service. And I don't know.
I think that it doesn't come down to the filters, it comes down to the ngram algorithm that you're using, right? Because the ngram is what dictates the inclusion or exclusion of stop words. Because
Well,
you're just looking at it at essentially a database right now, right, of all the ngrams that are ran. So,
right. But I made some filters
okay.
and we could turn these on to see what they look like. And I was pretty interested in whoops. I think I have to maybe do that, or maybe that particular filter is broken. I think there were two ngram filters. Another reason I just get blown out by Data Studio. Oh, God. Let's see what the deal is. Why is it not working? Regex contains exclude regex contains. I don't know why that isn't working. Let's just get rid of the filter. Um, and we want to remove blanks. There we go. I don't know why that makes it work. That one filter makes it work. I don't remember. I'm sure I had to troubleshoot it. But anyway, so this was kind of a different one. I had a ton of fun this time, Jordan.
I did too. I did too. I think it was a nice little change of us kind of shooting the shit, showing off what we're working on. Because I know We talk a lot about what other people are working on. So it's nice to share with everyone what we've been up to.
One of the coolest thing from my perspective is that we've been hosting a hangout and we're finally moving to a place where we're starting to build tools to help other companies be more productive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the tools piece, but also like the actual jumping in and helping them automate has been really fun for me. And I'm really excited to see where this takes us over the next year or two. Like this
For
is
sure.
exciting. Cool. Everybody, I really appreciate your time. Jordan, you rock. This was a total hoot for me. I got to cackle, as it were. Uh,
Same here, man. It was a blast,
yeah,
a
cool.
great way to end the week.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so everybody have a great week. Keep automating, and we'll see you soon.
Take care, everyone.